This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Film Riot, we're freezing time. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques. Going on some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley. And last week, I told you that we would be getting into how we did the final shot of the latest Pimp Your Productions episode. And I gave you guys one more week to slam that episode into your eye sockets so it wasn't ruined for you. But this is your last chance. I'm about to show you the ending. If you have not seen it, stop the video, go here, and watch that episode, and then come back. The link is also in the notes. So pause. Do that, come back. Okay, that should be enough time, and here it is. Yes. That's awesome. Awesome. I will see you there. Guys, we're blowing up a 7-story building in 3 hours. Get dressed. The back door. Cassie, baby?
I told you not to call me that!
Tickle the continents. It's only when I'm here that the man in the mirror has to make it all clear, and I'm forced just to hear us speak the truth from the roots to the booth to the goose. So the loop is the proof for the juice of the youth. So that's why I do it, cause I'm bigger than the trigger or the figure of a woman. But the rap bring it coming later. Time for hoes and 13-year-olds. Drive-by now done by the 5-0. Pop shot package when they on patrol. Gotta expose all the plights of the ghetto. Trouble childhood's memories can't let go. Screams of the innocent echo through the heart. And I'm so lost the time. Circumstance. Another chance to prove my worth. It's my life, and I ain't stopping. The clock's ticking, so face it. Chill.
Don't mess with Kessler, bitches.
So there you have it. Now, how did we do it? So the first and most important piece of how we did this shot was the gear. I used Kessler's CineDrive to do several motion-controlled passes of the same exact shot, which, if you haven't heard of the CineDrive, it is the new motion control rig that is fully programmable. So, as you see here, I shot on the Red Epic, which I did because I knew I would be wanting to add a digital zoom later, and by shooting 5K and then delivering 1080, I have a lot of room to zoom before I'm losing any quality at all. So now I have the Red all set up with the CineDrive on the shuttle pod and a 24-foot long run, and now I can use the free iPad app to control the whole system. Yes, I'm controlling a camera rig with my iPad and feeling like James Bond the entire time. So with this app, I will set up my move using a very intuitive interface, which the thing I love about this is that the keyframes feel very much like I'm using After Effects, so all of it felt very familiar to me. Once I had all my moves set the way I wanted to, at the speed I wanted them to be, I started running it to get all the shots I needed, and I could play this movement over and over, hitting all the identical marks at the identical speed, since this is all programmed and controlled by a computer. Now first I have Kessie baby and I at the door, him punching me in the face, then at the table, then me getting shot in the face, and so on. And each time we ran it, all we did to get that frozen effect was to stay completely still, or as still as we possibly could be. So for instance, on this last shot here, you notice there is nothing in any of the spots where we should be, except the final shot when we do the final live action, now they're moving and talking thing. And now we have all our footage done and ready to manipulate, which means it's time to jump into my lady love, After Effects. Inside of After Effects, I drop in my footage, time them all to match, then start masking them out one by one to the positions that I want. Then I'm gonna keyframe those masks to move with the shot and feather like crazy. And when masking shots together like this, it's best to try to find lines in your scene to try to hide your edge. So like the edge of a wall or something like that, it hides the breaks beautifully. So now we got our shots, brought it into After Effects, stitched it all together until we finally have this. But there are still small problems that I need to fix, like right here. He blinked which of course kills the effect, but it's not an issue. I'll just duplicate this layer, freeze frame right before he blinks, mask around his eye, then keyframe the position to follow his eye when the blinking happens, and there you go. No more blinking. I did the same with someone's finger moving as well. It's just with the shot set up like this, it makes it really easy to do simple corrections like that. But now, we have the shot solid and ready to move on to visual effects after this.
Ready? Because you're gonna go crazy high this time.
What are you doing?
Skywriting.
I'm sorry, what?
Skywriting?
I heard what he said. What are you talking about?
Skywriting.
Like with a plane? And smoke?
This guy thinks there's only one way to skywrite.
I know.
Do you believe it?
Right, what?
It's like, what are you even talking about?
What is that? What is that even?
I'm saying,
Why do you even want
right
to
on the sky?
Yes.
So people will know the majesty of domain.com.
On the sky?
If you need a website, domain.com is a place to get your hosting plans.
And domain names.
Yeah, I know. I talk about it weekly.
Hey, Rye.
Hey, Emily.
Isn't it hard to make domain names?
No, because domain has a
It's so hard. We agree. But domain.com's domain discovery system makes it fun and easy.
And if you want to save money,
Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at checkout.
Rye, you get 15% off.
I know.
That's great, man. But the rest of the world needs to know too.
They're about to find out. Let's hit it.
Last letter jump.
Wow. You're skywriting.
Yeah, she gets up there and does her thing. We're getting pretty good. Oh, logo.
The visual effects on this bad boy were actually done by the very talented Paul Griswold and Michael Stark, and I was able to get Paul to throw together a quick how-to for you loverly peoples. Ready? And Paul.
So when setting up a shot like this, one of the things you need to do is get a good track. I'm using SynthEyes here. To get a good track, you need to mask off anything that's going to cause problems for the solver. So things that have a mirror finish, like the TV there in the background, or things that move that might confuse the camera and make it think that there's something actually going on with the camera versus it's a thing moving. So Bruno's arm was moving, I needed to mask that off. You also want to make sure you have a lot of points in your final track so that when you bring it into your 3D application, you can actually recognize these objects and know where things are. Makes it a lot easier. You can put objects into the scene and export those, but it's nice to have all these nulls in there because then you can parent right to a specific spot in the scene. So once you've got a good solve like this, and I can see the table, I can see those flowers on the wall above the TV, I can see where everything is, you're going to export it to your 3D application. Once I've got everything imported into Softimage, I need to set up the camera from SynthEyes. It came in as a D1 camera with the wrong aspect ratio. You got to make sure you check that. Also, you're going to need a background plate of your images from the track. So here I'm setting up a background plate so that when any object that's transparent is going in front of the camera, you can pick up the background image through the transparent object. From there, what you want to do is start bringing in objects that you've already modeled previously. Here I'm going to go load a glass with some liquid spilling out of it. And since I have all those nulls, I know it's going to be right on the table. I can see exactly where the table is. So bring in the glass, I'm going to go ahead and put that where it belongs. Then I need to set up the lighting for the shot to match. Normally you'd like to try to get a light probe of the location where you've shot, but if you don't have that, one of the great things you can use is SIBL 4 from HDR Labs. It is a free program that has lots of great light probes from all over the world, and what I did for this is I went and looked for one that matches sort of the location of where we were. I needed something with some reds, some muted lighting, but outdoor coming through windows, so I picked Ueno Shrine, which had similar colors to the scene that I was working on. Next thing you're going to want to do for all your objects is set up shadow catchers. Shadow catchers are going to allow you to put shadows on the objects in the background. So here I'm just putting in a simple plane, and again, because I have all those points showing me where Josh is, where the table is, where the floor is, I can quickly go in there and start lining things up. Then I'm going to go ahead and apply a shadow catching material to that so that when the light passes through that glass and through the liquid, it's going to cast a shadow only on that object. The object's going to be totally invisible to the camera except for the shadows. Then, once I've got all that set up, I've got all my objects in there, I'm going to go ahead and render every single object and all the shadows out as separate passes and bring those into my compositor. Once I have all the objects and all the shadows and everything I need rendered, I bring it in and then I start compositing each element in individually, layering them together. This is where a node-based compositor really works well versus something like After Effects, because you can split things off and recombine them in your flow in a visual way, and it makes it just much easier to combine all these elements into a final shot. As you can see, I've got the TV, the debris, blood, a tooth floating in the air, the glasses, bowl of popcorn, all those different elements, the shadows are all rendered separately, then combined in Fusion as a final composite pass. And the final image looks something like this. So there you go. Hopefully that's a little bit helpful to you guys, and maybe one of these days I'll do a little bit more of an in-depth tutorial on that, but that should give you an idea of how to put together a shot like this. Thanks.
Logo.
Massive thanks to Paul for putting that together. Stark was supposed to get one together as well, but had some hard drive failure issues, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll be able to get him to do something for FilmRiot Extras, because he did the Rocket and Muzzle Flash. Both were a complete and total delight. But that is it for today. If you guys want to learn more about the Cinedrive, just go check it out right here. And you can find more of Paul's work here. And of course, Starky Baby Boo right here. Super talented dudes. So, do that. And I'll see you guys next week when I make a spaceship out of a shack with my friends.